financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is smoking guns in bankruptcy, gun laws, and with the IRS. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning. This should be an interesting show.
Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Ken. I got my smoking jacket on for the gun.
Scott Weinberg.
I'm not showing you what's right here.
Okay. So we're talking about smoking guns. And I came up with the topic because I was thinking, okay, there's some new laws that have come out that, like, this new law creates a smoking gun for Brian in bankruptcy. There's some leverage for Jeff Linden with the IRS of some strategies that's a smoking gun. And you're dealing with guns because you're a criminal defense attorney, so that was perfect. But when I looked at
just for the record, I want you to know that the only one that analogy actually probably really applies to is to Scott. We have no idea where you're going, but I'm sure you're going to get us there.
Well, smoking gun, according to vocabulary.com, is a smoking gun is a clear piece of evidence. A babysitter who's trying to figure out which kid ate the chocolate cupcake might consider one's child's frosting smeared face to be a smoking gun. So the phrase originally comes from the idea that finding a very recently fired, hence smoking gun on a person of a suspect wanted for shooting would have meant that was the perpetrator. But I think of the term a smoking gun as being a secret asset, a winning argument, a leverage, a benefit of something that you can get. What do you guys think of the term of smoking gun as? A smoking gun argument, or...
I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with the cupcake theory.
Yeah. I mean, you like to invent your own language.
A little bit. I kind of was a big fan of Sparky Anderson.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm more traditionalist. I go with smoking gun as what we would expect.
You got the evidence. It's right there.
But sometimes
it's clear.
we'll say, we'll read a case and say, this case is great. It's a smoking gun in favor of our position.
The transcript.
I'd be more like secret weapon or ace in the hole or something
Ace
like
in
that.
the hole.
Ace in the
That's
hole.
a good
There
one.
you
I
go.
think of smoking gun, which is why we named the show Smoking Gun today, as being the ace in the hole.
Okay. Let's get on.
So now we have that. All right, so my smoking gun for bankruptcy, Brian, is there's this new act, and it's a new weapon to help small business called the Small Business Reorganization Act of 2019.
Otherwise known as Subchapter 5 of Chapter 11 of the United States Bankruptcy
All right,
Code.
so explain in brief what that means.
Okay, so up until
Subchapter C of Quadrant
up
4.
until this past December, if you were a business and you needed to file a bankruptcy to reorganize, you had to utilize the regular chapter of Chapter 11, which could cause you to lose control of your business and required approval of the creditors who were being hurt in the Chapter 11. You had to get them to vote yes. And you had to get a majority of them to vote yes to approve your case, or the case could get approved by the court, but you would lose control of your business.
So you'd lose control of your business. It was also extremely expensive.
Extremely expensive.
There was a creditors committee that would cause you all sorts of trauma and anxiety
Many
to fight
times,
with everything you wanted to do. That's why Chapter 11's up until now, we've always talked about, were only for big businesses. You could use them for a small business, but nobody did.
So what Congress
But why not use
created-
Chapter 13?
Well, Chapter 13 doesn't apply to corporations, LLCs. You only could file a Chapter 13 for a business if you were a DBA and you owed less than $1 million in secured debt or $400,000 in unsecured
Okay,
debt.
so this is a new weapon
It is a
for
new
the
weapon.
small business.
It doesn't deal with debt limits. It says as long as you're, it deals with debt limits of less than $2.7 million.
Secured and unsecured.
Yes. Okay. So, and this new business Chapter 11, small business Chapter 11, does not require any creditor approval. It allows for a 3 to a 5 year plan of reorganization. It is streamlined. It's up to the judge. There's no creditors committees. And it's between you as the owner of the business and the judge and a trustee to try and create a system that allows for equitable repayment to creditors without the creditors having really any say in it.
So it's kind of like a Chapter 13 for businesses.
It's a giant Chapter 13.
Okay.
It's still
It's a
filed.
Chapter
It's
11.
still filed in bankruptcy court.
It's filed in bankruptcy court. It just happens to be an extremely useful tool for Chapter 11 for small businesses that didn't exist, and it's going to be, I'm going to say, very, very useful in the future.
Let me give you an example, because we run up against these kind of things all the time. You have a small manufacturing client that's facing a lawsuit from a powerful customer, say from a Tier 1 or one of the big three, over defectively manufactured goods, and they're suing, saying, we bought this $500,000 machine from you, it doesn't work, we're suing you for our lost profits, we're suing you for $500,000. That type of a lawsuit will bankrupt a small company quickly.
Well,
Even
this is a bankruptcy. It will force the closure and the failure of that small company.
Wrong word with bankrupt. Okay. The whole point is you can't even afford the defense costs of that kind of a case. But with this new Chapter 11, you are in a situation where you could put it into a Chapter 11. You then have to pay out to your creditors based upon a 3 to 5 year plan your net profit of the business, which would be after your owner's salary and reasonable compensation, and you're out from under the debt. It gives you the leverage, two things. It gives you the ability to fight if they're not willing to compromise and settle with you, and the bigger benefit is it brings them to the table. Up until now, you're sitting there saying, well, I'm going to throw it into a Chapter 11. And they're saying you can't afford a Chapter 11. But now I say small business 11, settle with us now.
This is a tool that actually enhances non-bankruptcy workouts. So by having this tool in place,
The threat.
the ability to put somebody into a small Chapter 11 allows you to do a lot of work outside of Chapter 11.
I
too.
consider that to be a smoking gun.
I consider it to be an ace in the hole.
And the vote of the group goes to ace in the hole. We'll be back after the break.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, we're back. So we're talking about apparently aces in the hole, but now I want to talk about real smoking guns because I want to talk with Scott about real gun laws. And the reason why I thought it would be a good topic is, we talk nationally about gun control and everything else, but I don't even know what are the gun rules in Michigan. Can I just go, if I want to go buy a gun, can I do that? When do I have to license it? What is concealed versus carry? What are all these rules?
There's some things you have to realize in Michigan. Okay, this is not Texas. Michigan is not Texas, and the reason why it's important is in Texas, very limited, open gun laws. You can carry a gun in most places, including a bar in Texas. Michigan,
stick it down on the table when you sit down with your iPhone.
Wait, hold on. Let me find my gun. Michigan, we have fair restrictions, which means basically you can carry a gun openly in Michigan. You have to be at least 18 years old. It has to be registered. You can conceal a gun in Michigan. You have to be 21 and get what's called a CPL, carrying
What's
a
open
concealed
versus
pistol
concealed?
license. So open is literally you can have your gun, your handgun, as long as it's registered to you, openly in your hand or open to the public, except if you're in certain places. You can't carry it into a bar. You can't carry it into a church or a synagogue. You can't carry it into a school under limited circumstances.
I thought there was some sort of rule that they just allow.
Hold on.
If I have it in a holster, inside of my jacket, is
That's
that open?
concealed. So concealed.
So I have to carry it around waving it to everybody?
You don't have to wave it, but it has to be visible.
See, I thought visibility is different than in your hand. Like you can walk down the street with
Visible
the gun in your hand. And
it can be in your hand. It can be. You can carry it openly. The difference is this: you can't have it in a container. What is the definition
a container?
of a container? The container can be a box. It can be the car.
Right.
You can't carry it in the car.
Is a holster a container?
A holster can be if it's concealed. You can't see the holster.
All right, so if I have a holster and I don't have a sport coat on, and then
That
you
can
see
be
it,
considered
then it's
open carry, depending where you're doing it. So when people get in trouble, what they're doing is they have a registered gun. They're above 18. They have it openly where it's open. You can see it, and they drive to where they're going. That's a 5-year felony, carrying a concealed weapon, because you have it in a vehicle, and that's considered concealed. You can have your gun in the car.
It being in the car makes it concealed?
Yes,
'Cause it's
that's
on.
the difference. So you have to have it where, one, if you have a CPL, a carrying a concealed permit, you can carry it in the car, but you have to give the card to the police officer right when you get stopped. If you don't, that's a charge itself too.
I'm
You have to
glad we
announce.
brought this up.
Yeah.
So it seems, correct me if I'm wrong, it makes no sense to just be able to rely on the open rule. You have to have the permit for concealed.
Do not
Otherwise,
bring
how are you going to use the gun without concealing it sometimes when you're transporting it?
No, you can transport it, but there are rules on transporting it. You have to take the bullets out of the cartridge out. You have to have them separate. You have to have it in a container separate without the bullets in a spot in your car. You can't have it accessible on your person,
Right.
loaded.
What about
to be locked.
when
Like,
you
you could
see
have a case.
trucks that have like shotguns hanging in the back?
Shotgun's a little different. First of all,
Wait, what were you
we're
gonna say,
talking about a
Jeff?
hand.
So, like, if you don't have a CPL, if you don't have a concealed permit, and you want to, say, go to the gun range with your gun and shoot, you have to have the pistol in a case. Most of them these days, if you buy it commercially, are going to come in a lockable case, separate from ammunition, in your trunk, locked away, not accessible to you while you drive to the gun shop or the driving range.
Exactly
That's
the
okay.
advice you give to
That's
the
okay.
client.
From a practical standpoint, here's my mindset, okay? As I'm saying, if I made the decision that I want a gun to protect myself, it seems to me that what I'm getting out of this is I need the concealed permit in order to do that. I don't want to run around flashing the gun, but I want the gun in my car with me.
That's exactly right.
I'm going somewhere, and when I get out of the car and I go into somewhere, I want to be protected. And I happen to like to wear blazers, so I don't want to have the gun sitting there showing it off to people. I probably want to have it in a holster or somewhere in my pocket.
My advice to anybody who wants to have a handgun and wants to transport it, I would get a CPL, because many times they're not as diligent as what you're talking about. They don't put it away, or they don't put it away properly. Always get a CPL. However, you can get in trouble. I've got clients that have a registered gun, a CPL. They go into a bar or a restaurant. I represent that guy in Macomb who was in the shooting case, who unfortunately was getting beat to death in the bar. Now, he had his gun with him, he used it, and he defended himself. And now they're charging him with murder. So you have to be very careful on where you bring this gun and obviously how you handle this gun. Just because you get into a fight doesn't mean you necessarily can use the gun. But if you feel that your life is an imminent threat,
is that where you
can
get
use your gun.
Stand your ground issue?
So stand your ground is exactly right. Just because you have a CPL, just because you have a gun, doesn't mean you can use it to kill someone. You have to be in imminent fear of death or harm to yourself or others in order to use that gun.
Guy's coming at me with a baseball bat. Can I step back, pull out I've got the concealed permit and everything else. Can I pull it out and just blow him away?
If the definition for standing around, if you feel that you are in imminent fear of that kind of death
so
yourself.
I raise my hand and say, I feel I'm in imminent danger of this guy bashing my head with the baseball bat. Now I'm going to pull out the gun and shoot him?
What county you in? It depends who's the prosecutor.
Okay.
And who's going to believe you?
In that situation,
it's subjective.
So in that situation where I defend myself from the guy coming at me with a bat, am I going to probably end up getting charged, or it depends?
It depends, but you probably end up getting charged unless there's really witnesses say that he either hit you with it or he was about to hit you in the head.
So when you make the decision to have that gun to protect yourself, you're also putting yourself in a position of realizing that if it comes to the point where you have to protect yourself, you may be facing a criminal charge for having done so.
That's exactly right.
So you're weighing the benefit of that versus the risk of getting killed.
I'd rather protect myself and my family and take the risk.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll kind of massage these guns a little bit more and then talk about smoking guns and taxes.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Criminal matters are serious. Your freedom, future, and wallet are on the line. Criminal defense attorney Scott Weinberg is a former prosecutor and renowned criminal lawyer. For over 30 years, he's the go-to defender in Michigan to protect your rights. Scott's advice: you have the right to remain silent. Use it. If charged with a crime, call Scott Weinberg today, 888-235-HELP, 888-235-HELP. And remember, stay silent.
Time for announcements. A reminder, viewers, to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on Praise Network, 93.5, 98.3, and 99.9 FM, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m. and Saturdays 7 o'clock a.m., and on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Be sure and sign up for our monthly contest. Free $100 Visa gift card, Law and Reality hat, and a copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Just go to the website, pop in your name and your email address, and you're entered into the contest. We have seminars coming up on Wednesday, February 26th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Bye-bye credit card debt, hello happiness. We're going to go through all the mechanisms we use to eliminate debt so that you start saving money for retirement, solutions using bankruptcy, solutions outside of bankruptcy. The whole key is that you want to get to retirement with zero debt, some savings, and a position where you are able to pay your bills and expenses and live happily ever after. Special segment by Jeff Linden on how to resolve tax issues. Scott Weinberg is going to do a segment on criminal law issues affecting everybody. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Sign up at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Then on Wednesday, March 18th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., we have an estate planning seminar called Your Will, Your Trust, and Your Powers of Attorney, The Essentials. We're going to go through the basic estate planning rules. We're going to talk about the new rules on IRAs and 401ks under the Secure Act. This is new law and effective for 2020. We're going to talk about how to protect your assets for you and your children. Attendees receive a $300 gold certificate off the cost of any estate planning service from THAV GROSS. You want to sign up for this seminar. It's going to be a great one at thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Remember, 888-235-HELP. Also remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. Just call the firm at 888-235-HELP or go on the website and request a consult. You got debt issues and estate planning issues with Brian, tax issues with Jeff, business law issues with myself, elder law issues with Pat Samasco, disability issues with Jeff Kirshner, criminal issues with Scott Weinberg. You're always entitled to a free consult. Just pick up the phone, call, we'll get you in, we'll go over your issues, figure out the right strategy and plan on how to address the issues. Our free consults are not meet and greets. We analyze the problem and come up with a firm solution to your problem, what it'll cost, and what the steps you need to take in order to effectuate that result. Also, go to the website. We've got free reports. Brand new, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions, written by Jeff Linden and myself. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security from Pat Samasco. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Michigan Criminal Lawyers, PLC, and Jeff Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
I love you too. Bye-bye. That was Jerry. Emma just said her first word.
Oh.
Jerry says hello and they'll be over soon.
Who's Jerry? Is he a friend of yours?
No. This Jerry. Our Jerry. And this is his wife and their little girl.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, back to guns. All right, so the discussion is fascinating, but it's also confusing me. I made a decision. I want to have a gun. I want to be able to carry it underneath my coat. I want it for my protection. What do I need to do? First, I need to go get a license?
You need to go and license that gun, get it
Wait, I have to
registered
buy
to
the
you.
gun. Where do I buy the gun?
Buy the gun at a local place. Let's say you buy it at a gun shop.
Okay.
That's registered.
Will he
Those
have
have
me-
to
will he
they have
have
to
me
fill out a
register right
form.
there?
They have to do a background check. There's a short amount of time for a background check.
I get it that day?
You can get it that day, but you can't pick it up that day. They're still going to do the background check.
Okay, so
usually it's 3 days.
So I buy it and I come back in 3 days, and I've now registered?
You can register it with them. They register it with the federal government. And then if you want to get a CPL, carrying a concealed
Right.
permit,
Where do I get
you have
that?
to go to the county to be able to get that. They do their own little background check. And most of the time they're going to give you, unless you've had domestic violence or other kind of felony
got a clean
cases.
record.
And then you
I've
still have to
broken
be
a few
careful.
keyboards, though.
You have to be careful where you carry that. One, you
What-
also
Where can I carry it?
You can't carry it in.
Do they give me a list?
They do actually. They give you a
okay.
list, and it's in the statute. Can't go to a bar, can't go to a stadium,
Can't
can't
go
go
to
to
school.
Ford Field. You can't go to a school.
House of worship.
Well, technically you can go in just to pick up your kid, but you can't go in actually into the school. You can be outside the school of it.
So there are a lot of
Child care
rules.
centers.
Okay,
there
so
are
that's
rules.
where I
and
can
that
go.
is one of the main things.
What about how I carry it?
How you carry it's important. So if it's a CPL, you can carry it concealed. If you didn't get that CPL, then you have to have it open carry. If you go though in a car, like we were talking about, if you don't have a CPL, you have to contain it differently. You have to have all the bullets out. You have to be able to have it so that it's non-basically usable
So I want
unless
the
you
CPL
attach
so I
it.
don't have to worry about those rules.
I would always suggest it. But that doesn't relate
What if I buy a
to people
gun-
going to hunt. You know, you don't need those kind of issues with long guns, right? But you also can't have that loaded rifle in your car too. That's got to be unloaded when you're going hunting. You gotta be very
So
careful
those
about
racks
that.
that
You need
you
to
see when
register.
the
Those
with
are
the
not
guns,
loaded.
those are not loaded.
They're
Well,
supposed
shouldn't
to
be
be
loaded.
not loaded.
Yeah.
All right, it's fascinating. So you really need to follow the rules carefully.
Here's the thing.
Otherwise, what if you're caught and you violate the rules? What's the punishment?
Well, carrying a concealed weapon, having it in the car is a 5-year felony. You can go to prison for it. It will, if you're a felony, it'll stop you from being able to own a gun or any weapon for 5 years, and then you have to reapply to the state to get your ability to possess a weapon again. So it's very difficult once you lose it to get it back.
A lot of rules. Taxes, smoking gun and taxes.
Ace
Or
in the
ace in
hole.
the hole.
Know the rules. The IRS manual, the revenue manual, is the IRS's rule book on what they have to do and follow when you're doing tax collection or tax resolution issues. If you know the rules, you can make them follow it. They're not going to necessarily tell you the rules. That's where lay people get into the problem. If you get somebody who knows the rules, because we've read the manual, you can make the IRS follow them. Once you tell them, they have to follow it.
See, both Jeff and I have both found that it works very well. When you're trying to get an installment agreement for a client, there are steps and procedures followed. If you show the revenue officer you're following the rules, they then have to follow the rules because they're required to, and they won't step outside of the rules at all when you're calling them on the carpet on it. But they won't tell you the rules that they're bound by or what rights you have unless you inquire. So you need to be a stickler, and the key ace in the hole smoking gun in that environment is making sure that the person who's representing you knows the rules inside and out, and then the government will follow the rules as well. And then when it comes to IRS, there's a lot of favorable rules to protect the taxpayer, more so than the state.
Right.
The state's kind of a little bit wild. So that's our smoking gun story. So have I convinced you guys after the course of discussion that it is really a smoking gun, not an ace in the hole?
No,
No.
sorry.
I didn't get that.
But it was an
No.
interesting discussion,
didn't get
and it was an interesting way to name the show today. But I think that at the end here, we just should retitle the show.
We just
Okay.
shot down your whole
Ace in the
thing.
hole is the new Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Smoking guns, know the gun rules. You need to know those. If you want to carry a gun, you better have the licenses and know the rules. Otherwise, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. And when it comes to IRS, your smoking gun, ace in the hole, is to know the rules. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.